Trump told Zelensky, from NBC News, Trump told Zelensky and allies he won't discuss territory divisions with Putin this week, sources say. Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump told European leaders during a call on Wednesday that he does not intend to discuss any possible divisions of territory when he meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska this week, according to 2 European officials and 3 other people briefed on the call. Trump said on the call, which also included Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, that he is going into the meeting with Putin with the goal of securing a ceasefire in Ukraine, those sources said. Trump and European leaders agree that a ceasefire in Ukraine has to be implemented before peace negotiations can begin. The European officials and 2 other people briefed on the call said. Some of the European leaders were left with the impression from the call that Trump is not optimistic about the results of his meeting with Putin, they added. The call on Wednesday took place just days ahead of Trump's meeting with Putin, which is planned for Friday. European and Ukrainian officials have been nervous about the president's meeting with the Russian leader since he announced it last week. Among their concerns is that Trump and Putin might agree to the parameters of a peace deal, including territorial divisions, and then try to pressure Ukraine to agree to it. Trump's comments last week that there would be some land swapping between Russia and Ukraine in particular put Zelensky and European leaders on edge. I understand that Donald Trump doesn't want to say that there's going to be any kind of land given up to Russia, but I don't see how he's in a position, or Ukraine or NATO are in a position to force the issue.
Yeah, for one, Ukraine is going to call a formal session of Crimea. They're going to call that a land swap. So, like, right off the rip.
You think that they'll say Ukraine? They'll say, if we don't get back Crimea,
right? They still recognize that as Ukrainian territory. So right off the rip, that's kind of the discussion that Ukraine's afraid of having. I mean, the Donbass is up for grabs at this point. Russia's had it for 2-3 years now. At this point, it's Russian speaking.
Yep.
So I think Ukraine needs to brace for impact. They need to brace for life without that, eastern third of their country. I don't know. I don't know. I'd be surprised if Trump and Putin actually, had a backdoor agreement in Alaska this week. I don't know if that's going to happen. Well, without Zelensky there, but
yeah, the way they were saying, how there has to be a ceasefire before they can move forward with talks. That was the first time I've heard of that there was actually that there has to be a ceasefire.
Yeah,
it was my understanding before reading this earlier today when we were getting ready for the show, that Donald Trump was looking to basically see what Putin wanted, that he was going in with no preconceptions about what was going to happen.
Well, he put Putin on the back foot because he ramped up arms shipment back to Ukraine the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were upset with that on the right. But from Trump's position, this is the way he negotiates. This is the way he's always negotiated, is he wants to put max pressure on the party that he's negotiating with. And so from his perspective, he knew that he's eventually going to have a chat with Putin in the near future. And so he's like, okay, well, let's redirect some arms to Ukraine. You can't negotiate from weakness. I mean, that was the problem with Biden, with the Afghanistan withdrawal, for example, is you can't negotiate from a position of weakness. So it's like you do have to shore up your position, even if it's a position you want to get out of. You still have to negotiate from strength, and that's what Trump's attempting to do here.
If I understand correctly, Vladimir Putin had initiated some more offensives in Ukraine this week, in the past couple of days, in response to moving in of arms to Ukraine, and prior to meeting with Trump. If he's actually taking aggressive actions before this meeting even happens, I can't imagine that there's going to be some kind of agreement to a ceasefire. I think that he's just going to show up and be like, well, there's combat going on right now, and we're not going to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, it's high level brinksmanship. I mean, Putin's used to it. This isn't the first time that negotiations have been floated and there's like active combat going on, but this would be the first time, obviously, that Trump and Putin would meet during the war
on American
strictly
soil.
on American soil, strictly over a ceasefire. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be combat until a ceasefire is signed, obviously. And Putin's trying to respond to Trump. I mean, Trump is showing aggression by arming Ukraine further. So he has a safe face to his people. I mean, that's how this works.
Putin's gonna win in an argument with Trump just by doing what he did with Tucker, which is just start talking about just 5 hours of talking about the history of Russia.
People were like, "Whoa, was Putin playing games with Tucker?" I was like, "I think you just underestimate the autism of Eastern Europeans." That's just what's going on here.
Well, there's also a headline from the Times that said U.S. and Russia propose West Bank style occupation of Ukraine.
I hate how they say that. It just pisses me off.
To me, it seems ridiculous.
Honestly, this makes me want to just like go out all out for Greater Israel, and I just hate how they use this. You want it, guys? I'll give it to you.
So
I hate this so much.
From the Times, Russia and the United States have discussed a model for ending the war in Ukraine that mirrors Israel's occupation of the West Bank. The Times has been told that I can't imagine how it's in any way similar.
It's not similar at all.
Under this scenario, Russia would have military and economic control of occupied Ukraine under its own governing body, imitating Israel's de facto rule of Palestinian territory seized from Jordan in 1967.
So are they talking about Donbass here?
I think so.
Okay.
It looks like it, right? So this is the map that they're showing. So Wojtkov, who was also tasked by Trump with bringing peace to the Middle East, is understood to support the idea, which the Americans believe circumvents barriers in the Ukrainian constitution to ceding territory without holding an all-Ukraine referendum. There's not going to be a situation where Russia's going to give back Crimea. Right. This is
no. It's too vital.
Yeah. It's 100% Russian territory now, and any argument to the contrary would need to be backed up with military force.
But also, let's not forget that these people chose to be a part of Russia. Unlike the Donbass, where Russia came in and took it, even the Donbass, they wanted to be a part of Russia. That's what the whole conflict started, was the Donbass wanted to be a part of Russia. Crimea, it was like a 91% referendum vote to join the Russian Federation.
I'm not super up to date on the context, but I believe the argument made by Ukraine was the Russians were moving people into Crimea. And they were like, oh, well, look, now there's more Russians than there are Ukrainians. There are more Russian speakers than there are Ukrainians. So we should take it because these people that they moved in over the previous decades or whatever say they want to be a part of Russia, which I don't give a crap. Like, I really don't care at all. Like, if they want to be a part of Russia, fine. I want to see it. I want to see the war end. But I honestly, as long as the United States isn't paying for weapons to go to Ukraine, I don't much care. So,
there's this really great book. There's an author, Robert Kaplan. It's called The Revenge of Geography. And in this book, he basically says the premise that a lot of nations have arbitrary lines as their borders. And unless a border follows some natural configuration, like a mountain range or a river, it will be contested and there will be a war there. If there's an arbitrary line, all it takes is a certain amount of people to move to the other side of the line, and it's done. And in the case of Ukraine, after the division, after the Cold War, Crimea is pretty much like the entire control over the Black Sea. It was Russia's main hub to be able to be in the Black Sea and to go between the seas. And then also the Donbass and like the entire Ukrainian, like if you go from Moscow, like there's just like wide open space. There's no land barrier.
Yeah, they call it the Great European Plain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's inevitable that there's going to be a conflict there. How you draw the lines is the real question.
I mean, yeah, from Russia's, and I mean, Putin talked about this, is every time Russia's been invaded, it's like basically a giant funnel that goes from the interior of Europe all the way up into Moscow.
Yeah.
I mean, Napoleon exploited this. So yeah, this is how it goes. It's a massive funnel. So I mean, yeah, like you said, I mean the border, however arbitrary it is, there's a lot of debate around that. It's going to be contested, and it is being contested.
But even still, I don't see how this in any way mirrors the situation with Israel.
Oh, that's just food for libtards. Yeah, they love
literally
that.
Clickbait shit.
That's why it pisses me off, because it's like, why is that even here?
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're going to set up a government in an occupied state, just like the West Bank. It's like,
who's the government? It's not Ukraine or it's not Russia?
Yeah, what is it?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So they go on to say, President Zelensky has refused to countenance handing over land, but the occupation model may be a mechanism to allow for a truce after 3.5 years of war. Under the model, Ukraine's borders would not change, just as the borders of the West Bank have gone unchanged for 58 years.
God.
Only under Israeli control. It'll be just like Israel occupies the West Bank, the source said before Trump's summit with President Putin in Alaska on Friday. Friday. With a governor with an economic situation that goes into Russia, not Ukraine, but it'll still be Ukraine because Ukraine will never give up its sovereignty. But the reality is it'll be occupied territory, and the model is Palestine.
I feel like this article is really just trying to like drive the point that the Palestinians are occupied. Like, let's just divert from this story and focus on Palestinians.
Yeah, drawing comparisons probably is just to try to make people feel some kind of sympathy for both situations. Likely to say that the Ukrainians, both the Ukrainians and the Palestinians,
They want to lump it together.
Well, and it's also like, I mean, it's hilarious because there's real life examples of puppet states set up by Russia that exist. So like, why even point to the West Bank? You have like Abkhazia,
they won't know,
South Ossetia.
They won't know anything about it.
Yeah, it's just hilarious that it's like, oh no, we actually have examples of what Russia.
And why do they say
would
the
do
West
here.
Bank and not the Gaza Strip? Like, what's the purpose of drawing this attention to the West Bank?
Yeah, so I as far as clickbaity headlines go, they did an excellent job because we're discussing it. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, red meat for
How
like
amazing
you.
is Steve Witkoff, by the way? I mean, like, this guy has gotten involved in everything. Like, he pretty much like handled the entire Middle East, all of the Iran stuff. Now he's in Ukraine. I mean, this is like Trump's MVP over here.
Well, I mean, the Iran negotiations, I don't think were a huge. I mean, they started off great. Like the first 3 talks with Witkoff and Iran, it looked like it was going in a solid direction. But I think it was the fourth. It was the discussion in Oman. Really didn't go hot. Like it was something like he showed up late. That's what the Iranians were saying, and then he like left early. It was a really weird. And then like after that, that's when it started to get pretty tense with Iran, and it became kind of clear that there was going to be some sort of conflict.
So he Irish goodbye, and then all of a sudden we're dropping missiles.
don't hate on Irish goodbyes. They're actually very
support.
functional.
So I mean, look, I'm sure Witkoff is really, really competent. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a rock star performance with Iran. I do think there was maybe something there after the third negotiation. I don't know.
There's also that Trump move. Like, he already started talking about it with the move in Russia. He got on Fox and he was like, I might walk out early, and just knowing that, like, he's not going to be diplomatic. He might pull the plug, like, is kind of a card. Like, come with your best game. Don't play games.
Yeah, I mean, it could have also been a situation where the Trump admin realized that a strike was going to happen inevitably. So it just felt like you were.
Wait,
going
did
through
you
the
say
motions.
that the Trump admin realized? I mean, wouldn't that be the decision of the Trump admin?
Yeah, they decided that they were going to have to strike at some point, or maybe not have to, but they needed to strike, or they felt it was in their interest to strike. I don't know. I'm not going to interject my opinion on whether or not they should have struck, but
Why?
it could have been after the third or fourth strike, because I trust Trump. I'm letting him cook.
I think it's fine that the U.S. blows up nuclear facilities in Iran.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the intel they had, but that's an old story. I'm just saying, in the context of the negotiations, it could have been after the third talks that they had, because they had, 6 scheduled. After the third talks, the Trump admin's like, look, we're not getting anywhere. We're going to have to strike him at some point for whatever reason. And so they're just like, all right, you can just, these negotiations are just, these talks are just, going through the motions. That could have very well been what happened, and that's why Witkoff, the talks seemed to have broken down after the third round of negotiations. I mean, who knows? There was so many different. That was the problem. The Iranians, you're getting a story from their state media, and it's like, okay, if he showed up late, left early, and that's from the Iranian state media, and then there's nothing from Western media. I mean, there's no way to vet it entirely. So
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not in the habit of trusting Iranian state media.
yeah,
I mean, basically every nation state has some level of propaganda that they're going to put out, or you're at least going to get a story that is fairly pro whatever country that it's coming from. Generally, the United States, maybe less so, depending on who is in control of the administration at the time.
it was more. Yeah. Well, it's more just like there needed to be context provided for why the talks broke down. And the Iranian state media was the only media that provided an explanation. The Western media was just like, it just didn't go well. We don't know what happened.
It was Donald Trump. He did not show up on time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Trump being late, being a thing.
Oh, yeah, it's like coffee. Yeah.
But
I could actually picture Trump saying to Witkoff, show up late. Disrespect them.
Yeah.
Leave early. Like, see if because it's a move. If you do that and they're like, no, then you know you got them. You won the negotiating round.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.